Hello, and welcome to the Independent Publishers of New England weekly broadcast on issues in the independent publishing industry here in New England. Right now, we're on session 2 of a 4-part series, which we're calling Publishing 101. In this series, we talk to different people in the publishing field about getting started in independent publishing. Our producer, Charlotte Pierce, is standing by, ready to show us different websites with our guest, Virginia Towler, who is the author of Severed and has been a very, very, very helpful and active IPNE member with us over the last half a year, and it's been fantastic working with her. Ginny, I'll let her tell you more about herself. She's been working kind of in the writing and the television industry for quite some time now, and she won an award in a screenwriting competition for the Writers Guild of America, and that's quite an interesting story. She has a fantastic blog, which is kind of difficult to draw myself away from at times. And without further ado, I will introduce Ginny Towler. Thank you so much for joining us, Ginny.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Ginny, first of all, how would you say that networking in the independent publishing industry has affected your ability to get the word out and to share your novel with people and to write it?
Wow. Well, should I be talking with respect to IPNE in particular?
Whatever you find important.
Okay, so I'll say generally, networking is essential.
Mm-hmm.
And it's 95% of having a novel is networking to let people know that you exist.
Mm-hmm.
And developing the contacts and the relationships that make people want to get to know you better and what you're writing about better. It's just not enough to have a book on a shelf somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
It's interrelationships that are very key to getting people interested in you and your work. So networking is essential.
Okay, thank you. And my next question is, what different networking systems have you found effective? I know when we first met, you were talking about Twitter, and I kept telling myself, I've got to get more involved in Twitter. I've got to get more involved in Twitter. And then today you were talking about how Facebook has actually been helping you. But also, I know that you're going to be giving a talk at a book signing at your local bookstore coming up very soon. And then also IPNE. So what different avenues have you used for networking and for meeting people? And how does IPNE fit into that?
Well, you know what's interesting is you really need all of them.
Okay.
Every single one of them. You have to be exhaustive in looking at the different avenues of getting to know people and getting them interested in what you have to say. So all of the above. What I have learned, however, is that Facebook really is, how do you say it, value added. Qualitatively, I would say Facebook really is an excellent avenue for getting the word out, which is new to me. And again, I have to thank IPNE and Charlotte in particular for making me realize that, I can't just use one stream to communicate with people. I'm a Twitter person. I can talk in 140 characters. I can talk with anybody. I don't have to spend a lot of time necessarily. I would say I developed a following over a 7-year period. And so I have 11,000 followers, but I would say that only in the last 6 months of trying to even create a Facebook page, I believe I've gotten more value added with Facebook.
Oh, wow.
Shocking to me.
And in what ways has Facebook helped? Do you get into larger conversations with your followers, or do you find that people repost more, or what do you see to be the difference?
I just seem to, well, I believe in using their ad pages.
Okay.
I think it's worth actually spending money on
Okay.
Facebook to reach out to people. It's been very helpful, and it's just I haven't tried it with Twitter, or actually I did for another business. I used to have a resume business, and so I used it for the resume business, and it just really didn't do much. Twitter didn't, and I imagine if I had tried it for Facebook, I would have gotten much better results. But I after 15 years of having the resume business, I wanted to focus now on my legal career and also my writing as a novelist, so I haven't used it. But for the novel, I would say that I've gotten so much more feedback, much more outreach. The money goes a lot further in terms of the number of people who actually see whatever it is you're promoting, your post or whatever. So I think it's much better than Google Ads. Google Ads, I think, I think they're way too expensive. I think Google Ads is just AdWords, that is just way too expensive, and honestly, I just don't trust it.
Okay, great. Thanks for that. I'm new to social media from you. And I know that you've also mentioned, one more thing, your blog is fantastic. When I was researching you, I'm so accustomed to working with you, Ginny, that you're just a fantastic professional to work with. I love working with you.
Thank you.
But I didn't really know that much about your past, because we're always talking about conferences and things like that. And your blog really took me in. You have written about such a variety of different things. And Charlotte, could you put the blog back up there for a second? That was really interesting. How often do you blog, and do you have any advice for anyone who blogs?
I don't blog enough.
Okay.
I really don't. Unfortunately for me, I blog when the spirit moves me.
Okay.
And when I feel I have something to say, and I think that's maybe why it has its appeal. When I've written something, it's because I was passionate about it. I probably need to blog weekly, which I don't. I don't have the time, honestly. I need to make the time, because I know that's another way to reach out. All the writers, all the successful writers say you must blog regularly, and I think there's truth to that.
Okay. Well, sorry,
yeah.
go ahead. I love the variety in your topics that you write about, and I also, of course, love the way that you write. It's just really sentence to sentence. I just really want to continue reading. Okay, a question from our membership is that your novel looks very professionally produced. How did you do all of that yourself?
Thank you for the commendation, so to speak. Any writer who says they did something by him or herself is a liar, honestly. There's no way I could have done any of this by myself. I picked really, really good people to work with. I can't thank my editor, my book cover designer, my interior book my interior book designer, my mother, who's an excellent copy editor, copy reader. I really wanted to bring the best that I could afford, and I did pay for it, but the end result is something that I feel 1,000% proud of. I don't have children or a husband. This is the family that I wanted in my novel.
Fantastic. Okay, as we wait for another question, how would you say IPNE has been a part of your process as an author, or how has IPNE been able to help you?
IPNE's been just wonderful. I am not a joiner, I'm really not. My cheerleading days are over. So I'm pretty reclusive, and I'm one of those writers who just likes to hole up and, just be in her own little world. So a woman that I have visited with every Friday night for the last 10, 12 years, who helped me go through this writing journey, you might say. She's in her 80s, and her daughter lives in California, so she asked me to visit with her. So I've made it, pretty much my mission to make sure to spend Friday nights with her. Well, she's more well-read than I am in terms of newspapers and stuff. And she mentioned the conference last year. She said, Jenny, there's a conference in Portsmouth. And Portsmouth is just literally, 6 miles from where I live. She said, maybe you should go. Here's what the cost is, whatever. So I signed up and I joined. I went to the conference. And I was just gobsmacked, as they say, with the level of professionalism of the people there, and they made me see what was possible, because I was still in the throes of putting the package together for my novel. I was still trying to figure out whether or not to use Ingram Spark or create space, and there's so many questions that I had. And I went to that conference, and I felt like, I don't know how to describe it, I felt like I was sitting in a nice, comfortable chair. You get into a nice chair and the chair just envelops you. That's how I felt about IPNE. The answers that were available to me, the number of professionals there, I felt like I belonged. I felt like the answers were there. And indeed they were, because I asked a lot of questions. I asked Charlotte questions. And, I had formed opinions that I needed to bounce off of somebody. And I needed to know, were these opinions right or were they valid? And I just got answers from people, and it helped me make the decisions that I made. And I think the decisions that I made were spot on. And I can't thank IPNE enough, which is why I do so much for you guys, because you guys really helped me.
Well, fantastic. That's what IPNE is about, is collaboration, and I think a lot of us share your same kind of, a lot of us in the writing business, it's a really solitary profession in a lot of different ways. You spend a lot of time, writing and rereading what you wrote, and, looking for editors and looking for cover design people, and it's so nice. For me, it was like finding a staff room where everyone could just hang out by the water cooler and talk. And I remember at the conference, I wished that I had been cloned so I could talk to like 4 or 5 different people simultaneously.
Right.
And then just leaving the conference completely inspired and charged. So, and you're really helping us this year set up next year's conference, and this coming October, the 21st and the 22nd. We have some fantastic keynote speakers, and thanks so much for everything that you're doing for helping us. We have another question, and that is, someone writes in, I don't have a lot of time to join organizations and get involved. How do you find the time? Do you have to volunteer to get something out of it? Jenny?
Well, I believe, I don't have a lot of time myself, but I just believe that, for any endeavor, it is about relationships. And you get what you, you get what you give, I think that it's a great clearinghouse of information. The website is just so full of information. I still don't know all that IPNE has to offer. There's so much there. So even just joining and just hanging out on the website and just clicking the links and see where they take you, I think that it's worth it for that. But I also find that it's just better to see what's out there, and these people become your friends. Last time you guys were in town, like I said, I was kind of free that day and just came and met you guys, and it's just a connection that I really don't have with other writers and publishers. And the other thing is, I feel like a publisher, not just a writer, but I actually feel like a publisher. And people have approached me now to help them with their novels.
Great.
Which is kind of laughable to me, because I needed my editors to do a good job on my novel, so I know I can't bring them that expertise, but I actually feel like I can tell people, consider this, you have to consider this, so, and IPNE helped give me that feeling that, you know what, I am a publisher,
Great. Well, I'm glad. That it's. I'm just so glad that it's such a nice collaborative organization. I wanted to mention another thing that you have joined us on as well. Well, two different areas where you've really been a big, kind of a big boost to us because of how active you are in membership. But again, you don't, as you mentioned, you don't have to be this active. We have a lot of members who they have time every couple of months and they just stop by and say hi, and that's wonderful too. But every day at 10 o'clock from 10 to 10:30 we have what we call office hours, and I kind of like to call it the water cooler, because for me it's the time when you get up and you go to the water cooler in the office and you just stand there drinking water and talking with everybody else around the cooler about absolutely anything. It can be how nice the weather is, or it can be the fact that the daffodils are finally coming up, or or it can be what you need to do to work with one of the larger independent publishers, what they expect, or and it could be absolutely anything. And we love it when people come in and drop in on the office hours. There's a different one of us every weekday on the office hours, and there's a bit of a different theme every day depending on who's running it. But we're pretty open to whatever anybody likes to say, because here at IPNE, of course, we are the membership, and so we love to hear what members are, what challenges they're facing, what victories they have, and things like that. And I know you've come on office hours a number of times as well. And then there was one other thing. And then also, on the Facebook. We love it. We have two different Facebook pages, and we love it when people comment or post articles or suggest things on our IPNE members' Facebook page, and Charlotte is putting that up right now.
Well, one thing I'd like to mention about the 10 o'clock hangout is I hope that people recognize that the organization really is all-inclusive. It's not a sorority or fraternity where only the insiders talk and hang out. I know what it feels like to be an outsider, and you don't want to. It's just very imposing to join a group where everyone seems to know one another. One thing that I can say, and I really think it has a lot to do with Charlotte's personality. Charlotte really opens the door to anybody and everybody, and you too, of course, Karen.
Yeah, she opened the door for me.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, she really sees value added in every single person who is a part of IPNE. And I really think it has a lot to do with her personality. I mean, and that's, I think, for anyone who feels alone and they're floundering and they don't know what steps to take and what do I do next, I just think Charlotte and you have such a wide open door. You're not
Thanks.
judged. Yeah, it's true. You're not judged. You're allowed to ask stupid questions or silly questions or basic questions, and you're not pilloried for not knowing something. You're informed. You're given information. So,
Well, great. Thanks for that. And I know that Charlotte and I, well, I'll speak for Charlotte. We both feel that we just learn a lot from everyone who comes in and everyone who participates, because the independent publishing field is, it's enormous and it's growing rapidly, and it's a fascinating field, an absolutely fascinating field. And everyone has different experiences of the challenges that they've run into in trying to get their book out. And a lot of it depends on who you meet, and a lot of it depends, and a lot of that is just chance and circumstance. And a lot of that is, being prepared when someone does come up, and being prepared and feeling okay, feeling like, all right, I can talk about this. So, and it's thanks to people like you, Ginny, that this organization keeps going, because it actually is a lot of work. to keep it going. And it's so helpful when people step up and volunteer and say, what can I do? And we have such a variety of skills within the organization that sometimes if people write in and say, I can volunteer, if we happen to be working on deadlines, we might not look at that. In fact, that's my responsibility. I have to do that. But we might not answer you immediately. But we will look at what your skills are, and we will get back to you. So I'd just like to say thanks to everyone who's volunteered, and especially you, Jen. You've been so helpful with the conference. I don't know what we'd do without you. Okay, so any other things that you'd like to mention about independent publishing and comparing it to kind of traditional publishing, or anything that you...
Well, I'm very opinionated about this. This is where I believe if people joined IPNE and other independent organizations, we can really create a sea change in the industry. I feel my book is as good as anything else out there, but I know that I'm limited by where I can actually sell the book. I don't like the idea of trying to get into a brick and mortar store like Barnes and Noble, where if it's not sold, they discard it, or I have to pay for the books to be sent back to me. I just don't like that. I just don't find that environmentally a good thing. And I also know that it costs so much to advertise, you know. I've gone to bookstores, even in Washington, D.C., and one of the guys told me, you know what, the reality is your book's just going to sit here. And, you know, no one's going to see the binder, and you're just wasting your time, you're wasting your money. You know, just try to keep it local to where you are, and if it's any good, it'll grow organically. And I thought that was good advice that he gave me. I mean, so big deal. My book is in different stores, but of what good is that if I'm not getting any publicity about it?
Right.
So IPNE is my publicity.
Oh, wonderful.
It is my publicity. I mean, the fact that you guys are letting us take our books. So you know, if I can go to Vermont at the end of July, I'm going to try to go. But if I can't, the fact is, I was able to send 5 books to be sold at the book fair. You know.
Okay, great. I'm going to cut in here for a second.
Sure.
Ginny is talking about Bookstalk, which is the Bookstalk Literary Festival, which takes place in beautiful Woodstock, Vermont, and an amazing group of authors are going to be there. It looks like it's going to be a really lovely festival, and we're accepting Maria, who's one of our wonderful board members, and also a children's book author, is dealing with the registration. So if you would like us to, bring your book there, then please let us know. We also have other book festivals where you can bring your book. September is NEBA, and then October is a big week, the 15th to the 22nd of October. We're going to be at the Boston Book Festival, the New England Library Association, and then, of course, our conference. So we're going to have a really busy time there. And just one last comment from us before I ask you, Ginny, for any last comments, and that's right now we're putting together our catalog, and we're also working on making a membership guide, which we're going to print out and send to everyone. And in that guide, we hope to be able to kind of organize people in terms of their skills, if it's editing or illustrating or book design or or what have you, and the genre they work in. If it's genre fiction, literary fiction, nonfiction, children's, young adults, etc. So if you could possibly update your profile if you're a member, and if you could possibly update your profile in our website, we'd be really grateful, because that just means that we can give more thorough information about our membership, so create greater networking opportunities for us to get to know each other, because that really is our objective. Okay, so that was my please update your membership plug. And Ginny, any last comments?
I just can't say enough. The organization is as good as its people, and I believe that The people in it are very, very good. They're good people. They care about writers. They care about helping writers, and you're just not going to find that altruism, every place else, other places that is. And the memberships are affordable for what you get out of it. You get so much more out of it. So, I mean, like I said, my cheerleading days are over, but I can't stop cheerleading for IPNE. I'm very grateful for everything you guys have done. And, you've helped build my own confidence as a writer and as a publisher. So I just can't sing its praises enough.
Oh, well, thank you, Jenny. And thanks so much for joining us today. It was such a treat, really, to talk with you again and to do it this time in this broadcast. And once again, this is IPNE, the Independent Publishers of New England weekly broadcast. We are on the air every Thursday at noon, where we talk with different people in the publishing industry. Today was session 2 of a 4-part session, which we've entitled Publishing 101, where we talk with various members about the introduction to publishing and what publishing is and how IPNE can be a part of that. So thank you very much to Ginny Towler for joining us. And please look at her blogs. They're fascinating and a fun read. And check out her book as well. And Ginny, oh yes, could you mention where you're going to be doing your book signing? This week it is, isn't it?
Yes, it's on Sunday at River Run Bookstore, an independent bookstore, at 2:00 p.m. in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, on Fleet Street, and it should be interesting. The Seacoast African American Cultural Center is co-sponsoring it. I wanted to bring different facets of the community together where everybody has something in common, and that's usually reading. So,
wow, that sounds fantastic.
Yes.
So are you going to be speaking at all, or are you just going to be signing, or what?
I'll be talking. I'll be talking. I'll read a little portion of the novel, but it's just to talk about, one of the reasons you don't see my face is because I want my characters, I want to be judged by my characters, not what I look like. So I'll be talking about that.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Fantastic. And a big thank you to River Run Bookstore also for supporting independent authors.
Absolutely.
So that again is this Sunday, June the 26th at 2 p.m. and that's in Portsmouth, isn't it?
Yes.
Portsmouth,
thank you for mentioning it.
Okay, great. And also thank you to Charlotte Pierce, our producer, and our president, without whom we would not be here. So thanks, Charlotte. We look forward to the next 2 weeks with Publishing 101, and following that we're taking a brief vacation, and then we're going to be back on Experts, where we interview the people who have been in the field for a long time and have a lot of experience. But we love the Publishing 101. It's such a pleasure to be a part of this organization and just have everybody work together. Lord knows I'm new at it, and I am just, I wish I had a clone. So thank you very much to Ginny and to Charlotte, and we hope to speak with you again next week.
Thank you, Karen.
Thanks, Jane. Bye.
Bye.